somewhat died, and I figured I'd administer CPR until someone who's actually capable could take over. Thank you for that, Cyril.
Yeah, because I was just asked out of the blue one day because I'd sort of blown up a little bit in the certain Blood Bowl communities just because of the amount that I play. So we've got I didn't even realize that he'd chosen inducements. I forgot about that. So he's got his Halfling Master Chef. The Fling thing has gained 2 team rerolls, and the Mighty Bulldozers lost 2, which means they only have 1 reroll. I've actually casted a game by Twyllenimor before. Unfortunately, he lost against the Wood Elves, and it was a 0-5 beatdown. Yeah, 5 touchdowns by the Wood Elves.
Right.
I am just in the setup now. I'll tell you just when the Halflings finish their setup.
Alrighty.
Okay, I'll skip through the setup and just pause on turn 1 and tell me when you're there. Because I don't usually watch the setup anyway.
Fair enough.
So how long have you been playing Blood Bowl?
I started off playing Blood Bowl on a cracked version of Blood Bowl 1. Tell me when to hit play.
Alright, 3, 2, 1, go.
Yes. So I started off playing Blood Bowl on a cracked version of Blood Bowl 1 on PC, and very, very quickly realized this. So this was late 2010. Oh, we need to click skip at the same time too. Rubbish.
I didn't need to. I didn't even need to.
Oh, the blitz is happening now. I see the block dice now.
Alright, cool. The stun has come forward. So the Bulldozers got a reroll, and they've also got the +1 fame. See, a lot of people don't talk about having like the +1 fame or the +2 fame at the start of the match, and I have found that it can really be a tide turner and a tiebreaker.
Yeah. You just don't know in advance whether it will be super relevant, but it can be. Absolutely.
I love it. The one game that I was in, the entire opponent's team got the stun result on a pitch invasion, and I didn't have one single character knocked out.
Pitch invasions are awesome. Absolutely.
But yeah, that extra reroll after the Halfling Master Chef took away almost all of their rerolls is definitely going to help the Dwarfs.
Yeah. Certainly. Now, Dwarves aren't a team that need them super badly, but it's still definitely a factor. So yeah, late 2010, and I quickly realized, okay, the game is really cool, but the AI really isn't. So if I'm gonna have fun playing this, then I'll have to play it online. So I googled good online community Blood Bowl 2 Blood Bowl because I wanted to make sure that I was getting into a game that actually has online play. Otherwise, I saw no point. But that Google query brought me not to the Cyanide game, but rather to Fumble. And so I played there from early 2011 until about a year and a half ago. So yeah, so 7 years-ish.
Oh, cool. Wow, that's longer than I, that's for sure. I played on Blood Bowl 1 just after Blood Bowl 2 came out, because Blood Bowl 1 was on special because of the release of Blood Bowl 2.
Mm-hmm.
So
it worked.
Yeah, it did.
They put it on sale and they got you to buy 2 games.
I played on that for a good year, but I'd never played multiplayer because there was no multiplayer going on Blood Bowl 1 at the time.
Yeah.
So I just played against the AI, and then when I was streaming, someone came from Blood Bowl, I think it was Nergus, actually, someone from the community I'm from, and was like, hey, I play Blood Bowl 2, I've always loved, I watch a lot of Blood Bowl 2, I specifically got into it because of Krendor.
Yeah,
and
the
then
Kondorian Invitational was a starting point for many.
Yeah, and he, Nergus was like, oh, do you want to get Blood Bowl 2 and the Legendary Edition, like pre-order it? And it was on special, so I went, sure. And then I got hooked, and I was playing it, 30 hours a stream every couple of days.
So you started with Legendary Edition, basically?
Not with Legendary Edition. I was playing it because I basically pre-ordered it when they announced Legendary Edition. Like when it was able to be pre-ordered. So that was like a couple of months before or a month before.
April, I think.
Mm.
Yeah, I remember. They actually invited me to come to Paris to hear this announcement and talk to the devs about it. It was kind of cool.
Wow, it's awesome stuff. But yeah, it was funny because I went from haven't played Blood Bowl for like a year or so or something like that to playing it almost exclusively for quite a while. But
I've played it almost exclusively for most of that time. I usually have Blood Bowl plus one other game, and then I still play Blood Bowl more.
Yeah,
I
haven't been playing it a lot recently. When we started this the Invitational, when I started shoutcasting for it, I stopped. That's right. There was an update, and then on my particular, we have a dead halfling.
So we do.
So how many? He's only got 2 on the bench.
The dwarves. Yeah. The turn 1 root on the tree on the right flank is really, really bad for the halflings. Because those 3 treemen are crucial, and that one's basically in a place where he's going to be useless for the rest of the game, or the rest of the drive at least.
And then there's another removal, so unless they can get up, that means both of the bench are on the field.
Yeah, and the dwarves had kind of a slow start with the punches, but because they have block and tackle, you already know that they're going to wind up removing a lot of flings along the way.
And that death roller could potentially take out those trees if they get that gang foul going. Oh, we've got a toss by the tree.
I have to admit, I'm not a big fan of the roller in general.
Neither am I.
And if you can't get yourself a bribe like in this format, then I really wouldn't bother at all.
I was talking about the same thing when the very first week when I was looking at all the teams and pulling them apart. I remember that I was really skeptical on the choice for that death roller. Because again, I was like, tier 1 teams can't get inducements. So why? And I don't know if it's this team, but there's another team as well which is similar that doesn't use all of their team value. And they could have gotten like an apothecary or a reroll or something. But since they're a tier 1 team,
just fan factor or assistant coach or cheerleader if you really want to.
Because in this format, having that extra stuff is helpful, and it doesn't matter. Like the team value doesn't matter as much.
Well, see, I guess that's why he went with the roller. And in general, big guys are more useful in Resurrection format than they are in League play, because you're limited in the number of skill ups you're allowed to take. Take a Skaven team, for example. In League play, I wouldn't go with the Rat Ogre. Not at all. But in... I'm a bit surprised that the Dwarves are choosing to go towards the tree that is rooted. That increases the
chance of it getting unrooted by if they knock it over, or...
Yeah, or just the... it makes the area around the tree relevant again. The tree was useless where it was, because the Dwarves could just move away from it. And now, suddenly, the gameplay involves those tackle zones again, and I wouldn't have gone for that myself.
To be brutally and unfortunately honest, I have actually casted 2 of Twyllenimor's games so far. Twyllenimor. I struggle to pronounce his name sometimes, but he makes his team built, the actual team he's built has some mistakes to it, and he does make some decisions which I wish I could talk to him about it, because I want to know why he makes certain decisions. Like, there are a lot of players in this competition. Oh, we've got a dwarf injury. That's not good.
Lovely. If you're seeing flings against dwarves, you really, really want the flings to do well, of course. Yeah. At least I do.
I do as well. I like stunty teams.
Yeah, and I don't really like dwarves all that much.
Yeah, I think I've played as dwarves a total in the 600 hours of Blood Bowl 2 that I've played on Steam. I think I've played dwarves twice or 3 times total, because I'm not a fan. The only time I played Chaos Dwarves is because a viewer begged me to.
Yeah, I played them when they came out. Figured people wanted to see the new race. It was a relative term because.
And that was the leader dwarf as well. That injured dwarf is there. It was his leader, which is going to mean that he loses a reroll for the next half.
And if the chef does well, that could be crucial.
Yep. It's even worse, and unless he does get that kickoff event again, but who knows? But that's I specifically called that out because Monkey J asked.
It's G.
G, Monkey G. Well, the only thing I don't like about the replays in Blood Bowl 2, and I'm hoping that I could somehow make a suggestion to Cyanide, is that you can't slow them down effectively. Like, I think there should be like a speed slider or something.
Yeah, that would make sense. Sure. To be honest, I doubt that the replay feature is really high on the list of priorities. But yeah, that would be helpful.
I mean, making the game less buggy and make it run on most... Because it's not like my machine isn't powerful, it's a multi-core beast that streams things at... Anyway, I use very powerful presets and the like, but... The Blood Bowl constantly crashes, and that's why I haven't been playing it recently. Because
it does?
Yep, crashes constantly, and I've heard that it's the same on... Because I've been an Intel person my entire life. I recently switched to Ryzen, and I've been having troubles with Blood Bowl after that. Blood Bowl crashes on my... And I've looked up forums. Ryzen CPUs sometimes have trouble. Kill all the hobbits, says USC Deadman. No, I want to see the the hobbits win against the dwarves.
Well, to be fair, if you're playing as any of the 320 teams and you're playing against a tier 1 team, any draw can be considered a win, really.
Yep. Oh, I completely understand. I'm someone who is completely fine with draws generally. In a tournament format, though, I would think that getting because as I said before, a few of the games that we've casted today, they have had the win in the bag, and they could have gone for another touchdown, but they decided to play it super safe and went for a draw instead. And it's like in a tournament, in like league play, where you can level up and that can be feasible, but in this where the win matters, why really settle for?
Well, if you score early, it depends on the risks. Like if you know that you when you score, you have a 60% chance of losing, a 30% chance of winning, and a 10% chance of still winding up with a draw, then it's just not worth it because the draw is still points. And your expected outcome is going to be worse if you shoot for the win and therefore probably lose, which is quite often the case if you're considering stalling for a draw.
Yeah, I can understand that. I don't completely agree. Like in this sort of glory, all for glory tournament, that bragging rights is really, honestly, the only prize from it. I would probably say going for the win is the better op. But when I'm talking about the teams that the particular teams that I'm talking about, he was already a score up. He could have been 2 scores up, but he chose to stall instead, and that helped the other team draw.
Sure. Okay. So he tried to stall and it backfired.
It wasn't just that either. He could have run forward for a touchdown, but he ended up trying to switch sides and just completely left himself open, and it was like we were just confused about why he did that.
If you've got a sure win and you give it away, then obviously you do something wrong. The situation where this usually comes up is if if you're 1-0 behind, and you can choose to score the 1-1 either early in the second half or at the end. And that I understand, especially against a full squad or against more than 4 elves.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, more than 4 elves. So.
But in this case, I mean, the fact that Dennis is willing to play as halflings already means that you're going to have to adjust your expectations a bit.
Oh,
if anyone manages to go, say, 0-6-0 with halflings in a tournament like this, I would applaud them. I would say that they've done an excellent job.
I would offer them the Stunty Cup.
Probably, yes. Even though ties are worth less than half a victory, 0-6-0 is probably going to be. Although, didn't someone go 2-1-0 with goblins?
Yes, they did. They did. That's actually the team. One of the teams I'm talking. No, that was against the Norse. It's Fire and Ice by Street's Fire and Ice team.
How are they doing now?
They are 1-2-1 at the moment. And they went against a Norse. The team that they won against, it was a game we casted. It was a Wolf and I. It was against the Norse, a Norse team. And it was a 3-0 win for the Goblins. I can hear a cat. Is it a cat?
Yes, it is a cat. 2, 4, 6, 8. So the dwarves are down to 9 players. That's excellent. This is what we like to see.
Yep, so we've got the death roller off, and we've got 2 injuries. So 2 injuries against dwarves. The halflings are probably just jumping with glee at the moment.
And chances are they're outnumbering the dwarves for the second half because they get to throw some punches. They get another KO roll. Good stuff.
3, 4, 5,
Let's
6.
see if they also manage their 1-turn touchdown.
Actually, the halflings only have 9 plays as well, don't they?
Yeah, but there's one KO'd who might come back,
okay.
which the dwarves don't have. So
and the moment you
they have
outnumber
potential for damage.
Yeah, the moment you outnumber dwarves, that's when things start heading well for you because dwarves really.
Do you need someone? Yeah, sorry, I was just looking at the setup. Like, don't they need someone to go and get the ball? But there it is.
Everyone in chat saying "feed the cat," and Trestle K says "feed your wife, Sage." Are you married to your cat?
I'm not married to my cat. I'm married to a lovely wife, and I do have a cat, and he does need feeding. I shall be right back.
Go for it. I understand. I've got 2 cats.
Wives?
Caffeine Princess. My cat just answered Sage's cat, but said it's okay. I'm starving too. My silly human brought the wrong wet food, and you just won't eat it. It would kill the cat. The cat would get horrible food poisoning from eating the subpar food the subpar slop that you put in front of it. So the halfling's knocking over the dwarfs, and that was that last turn. Let's have a look. Does the halfling get back up? It does. There we go. So 3 injured, 3 removals on both sides, but that means that the halflings come out with an extra player. Or an extra 2 players. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And the dwarfs only have 9. Yep, 9. 0 rerolls for the dwarves, yes. But they may get a kickoff event that allows them to get another one. That's what they got last time. So, we shall see. What is the kickoff event? Because the dwarves... No. Not so good for them there. The dwarves do have the +1 fame, which a lot of people don't think is a big deal, but I have seen it in the Tide of War. Didn't this time, but the first half, the dwarves got an extra reroll, which let them have 2.
The thing about fame is that on average, it doesn't do that much. I mean, quite often it makes the difference between 1 reroll here or there. But the moment you do get that crucial throw a rock or pitch invasion, it can suddenly wind up being huge. But you don't know it's going to be important, so it's not something you know you're going to have to pay huge attention to. And I think the other thing is, you have so little influence on it. knowing that you have +2 fame can't make you play for a pitch invasion or something.
Yeah,
usually.
Exactly.
So
So,
it can be relevant information, but not to act upon, but rather just to realize how luck might affect things.
I also rub my hands together for the end of the match when I get that extra bit of money because of it. Usually in league games, not in this, obviously.
I like how the halflings decide to foul before even picking up the ball. That's lovely.
they are
just
just
on the same spot again. He's just picked up on my screen.
Yeah, he's just picked it up on mine as well. But I was just about to talk about that. Another removal by the halflings on those dwarves. They're really giving it to him. Like I actually really like to see injuries happening on the dwarves.
Well, you shouldn't underestimate 3 treemen plus a dirty player. And of course the death roller removed himself.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if this turned into a draw, or even if the halflings are feeling really cheeky and they score on turn like 14 or 13. The dwarves are going to have a lot of trouble scoring in such a short time.
I mean, they're also going to
nicely chucked halfling.
Yeah, they're also going to have a lot of trouble stopping any scores that happen from a, say, halfling throw attempt, because they just don't have that. They don't have the movement to turn around and go back after the halflings if it goes well. What I do notice is
the halflings really want to see a deep kick.
I like that the dwarves do have that runner, because I do believe there is a dwarf team in this league that doesn't, like, they don't have a sure hands player with all of their agility 2s and only a couple agility 3s.
And not just that, but tournament play tends to have strip ball war dancers everywhere. And
we do have a few of those.
sure hands makes you really, really vulnerable to that.
We also have some strip ball berserkers on Norse teams.
Yeah, but you can hide from a berserker. If you cage well as dwarves, you're not going to suddenly have that berserker hit your ball carrier. But how are you going to hide from a war dancer? That's pretty damn hard. Yep,
especially with that leap. That leap causes a whole bunch of troubles for everybody.
And, I mean, strip ball war dancers are really a default part of the meta. I was surprised to see how much the halflings were willing to expose their ball carrier here. That was really unnecessary, in my opinion. But it wasn't punished, because the dwarves had 2 pushes, and of course, no reroll.
Yeah, none at all. And I think maybe the halflings were going for a bit of a bait. Use the middle ling at the moment to push it into where that tree is, the star player tree, deep root. And then use him with his mighty blow to smack that dwarf, because that dwarf is a guard dwarf, which can cause some. I mean, not against these trees with their insane strength, but getting rid of any of the leveled dwarf players, or any player at all at this point, is a massive blow.
Well, that's apparently not his plan, because the deep root is already able to punch a guard dwarf there, the blitzer in front of him.
I don't know. Just thinking of why some moves might have been done, because he did leave his ball carrier very open, but he's within a nice little cage now.
He's basically, well, not really actually. He's still open up to an easy 2-die.
Oh, that's right. I completely forgot that the halflings have 2 strength.
Yep. That's kind of a big part of why they're a stunty team. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the dishwasher of doom.
That's fine.
I will be right back once again.
Go for it.
It's almost like I'm streaming from my house, isn't it?
Oh, almost. Not some fancy office for streaming. But anyway, something I did need to say is thank you very much for the follow over on my channel, Caffeine Princess. I did see that pop up. Welcome to the community. Use the Discord as you wish, and feel free to join our Blood Bowl League, Nephilim_AU, in the search bar, and you'll find it. It's a pleasure to have you, and welcome. That's the spiel I give over on my channel. Didn't expect to give it here. And now the armor value 8 can get a beating. The shed? The shed is almost up.
Yes, as Caffeine is saying, I am building a studio in the backyard downstairs.
Oh, cool.
So I will be streaming from there at some point.
Oh, wow.
Once I find the time to finish building it, basically.
I stream from my bedroom. And my chroma key setup is an old clothes hanger that I found that was being tossed out, that I jury-rigged into holding up a blue bedsheet.
That sounds exactly the way it's meant to be. Yeah, I considered getting into green screen, but the problem is that I couldn't make the lamp work, and if I have to choose between the lamp and a green screen, lamp wins every time.
Fair enough. I'm lucky that my ceiling light is a white light, so it has a nice lighting effect on, like, it makes me bright, and also my camera has a low light functionality, so I look okay. I would prefer to have better lighting, but can't always win. You're better than the cat box. But yeah, you've made yourself a doghouse, which Caffeine Princess can kick you out into.
Wait, who's kicking me out?
I just the way Caffeine Princess is talking, I assumed that they were someone around you or a friend of yours.
Well, she is definitely a friend. She's one of my mods, but she's in Sweden and I'm in Amsterdam, so...
Makes sense. You just won against Kislev today, Alda. Because they had no bear and crap dice. That isn't a big surprise.
Where? No, don't run! What
was that about?
That was so risky. Why did the Flings not stay safe? They had control. Blood Bowl is a game about control. Then again, it was an agility 2 dodge with no reroll, but still, it was 50-50 for another 2 die on the ball. That was so unnecessary. Oof. And still not going for the turn. Here, I would have scored. If I were the Halflings,
yep.
I would have run it in there.
Yeah, I would have too.
Because the chance of the Dwarf scoring with this few players and only 3 turns is really, really slim. Whereas the chance of a Halfling touchdown in 2 turns with throwing
decent
is quite realistic.
But I think
especially with no rerolls.
Yeah, I think it looks
dwarves.
like Dennis may have been just going for hits. Like, he looks like he wants to continue his reign of injuries against the dwarves for almost giggles, maybe.
I think he's just going for the safe stall.
I don't. Again, there has been in this league. There has been a lot of stalling that I personally think shouldn't have. Like, because the dwarves would never, even if the riot gives them an extra turn, I don't think they'd be able to make a touchdown.
Not with this few players, especially.
Exactly.
And no rerolls.
And they can't get any of those players back.
And that means that you've basically still got your draw secure. But and there's this.
Yep. There's now he has to dodge out of that, which and a
8 out of 9 still, but
and a removal.
Yeah, I'm really not a fan of that sequence of turns. But so far it's working out for the Halflings, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, I reckon if
Go ahead.
I think they've sacrificed the win here.
I
reckon
at least the chance at one, yeah.
Yeah. And if they're really unlucky, they might not get the tie. But they did. There we go. There's the touchdown, but I reckon they could have had a win.
He's better off blitzing here, by the way. He's choosing to dodge, which has a 1 in 9 fail chance. But if he blitzes, then the 1 is bad, a skull, but the 2 isn't actually bad because he has block, so both down would be fine too. And then you can still choose to reroll that even. And if you reroll it into a both down, you can still dodge out on 3+ with reroll. So a blitz would have been a much, much safer play here.
So I think I might be a bit further than you. I'm up to to turn 16. Oh, sorry, turn 15 for the dwarves, turn 16 for the halflings.
Yeah, I'm watching setup phase right now.
Alright, cool. So am I.
So skipping that. Dwarves are setting up for their magical 2-turn.
And both teams get an extra reroll. So that is very good for the dwarves. It doesn't mean anything to the halflings, but now the halflings have a reroll to work with.
The dwarfs, yeah.
He goes for a 1 die on the tree. Oh, sorry, a red dice on the tree because of that Dauntless. Succeeds in knocking it down. Blitz with the Troll Slayer. Oh, Longbeard, sorry. Which happens to just be a push. Uses the reroll. Reroll was used. Oh no, the reroll was used on the Dauntless. I think he wasted that reroll because he got double ones on that. The Dauntless didn't matter until the second hit, which just went off without a hitch anyway.
The Dauntless is rolled separately for each hit.
Oh yeah. It's just that
if the first you push.
Yeah, the very first hit, he rolled a 1 on the first Dauntless, used his reroll, which was a 1 anyway.
Yeah, the thing is, if you're going to make plays like this, ideally you make it so that you at least get a 1 die if you fail Dauntless. And with block, you can quite often afford to just accept that you're rolling a half die. So if the Dauntless fails, you see what the half die does, and if needed, you can still spend the reroll on that. But the chance of suffering a turnover on a half die is less than the chance of actually knocking someone down with it.
I really don't like going for red die, and I actually know that I should do it more because, you know, going for a red die when you have block and your opponent isn't actually that bad.
And because people tend to not expect it, it can also be a very, very good way to open up a cage, for example. If you're just standing next to a cage corner and he knows that you're unable to get a 1 die, simply starting off with the half die in order to where a push is enough might just be the thing that wins you the game.
Oh, and failed dodge. Oh no. Or halfling.
Yeah, the dwarves actually have something of a shot here. Does he still have a blitzer there? Yes, he does. So what are we looking at? No, don't blitz with that. That's a
dead halfling.
And a failed turn 16 play for the dwarves.
Oh, really? Yep, there's the blitz, wrong blitz, and crunch.
Oh, I'm sorry, was I ahead of you?
No, it was fine. I didn't understand what was going on from what you were saying. I'd sort of gathered, but... but another thing about those red dice as well is the psychological effect of if you know that you have that block and your opponent doesn't, and you're okay with going for those red dice, if you succeed a few red dice after each other, you can actually send your opponent on tilt. Your opponent will start getting frustrated. They're like, what the hell? This person's making these red die blocks, you know, and I'm making two normal die blocks and still failing or not getting the...
I have made CM on tilt when I when I red diced his ball carrier down. That was fun.
Yeah, see, that gets everybody. But when you actually...
I'm pretty sure there's a highlight video about it.
If you actually look at the odds, you still have the advantage in the odds, but you know, when you're in the moment, you don't think about that. When you've just had your ball carrier sacked by red dice, you don't think that, well, actually, that was a good play by them because they had the advantage. You just
Especially when they have strict ball and you don't have sure hands, then it's huge.